Ya tengo un año que llegué, hasta hace unos meses fue que pude tener una guía migratoria y pude lo que es aplicar para un asilo político. Y en el transcurso del asilo político aquí estoy. Trabajo de delivery porque la verdad no tengo un empleo en el cual yo pueda sustentar a mi familia y me toca trabajar de delivery a diario.
Maria Angel loves to play chess. She started learning last year, thanks to an after-school club.
Pues al principio no sabía nada de ajedrez, solo sabía mover las piezas, pero mi profesora me ayudó a ir entendiendo más el ajedrez.
Maria Angel is one of 33,000 migrant students who have enrolled in public schools since the summer of 2022. She came to New York that October, and like many of her newly arrived peers, her journey from Colombia was traumatic. At the border, she and her parents were separated from her two older siblings.
Pues fue complicada y pues me asusté mucho cuando me separaron de mis hermanos.
It was a difficult, frightening journey until they were all reunited in New York. But it was a journey her parents felt they had no choice but to take. Alexandra Gomez and Francisco Vargas once ran a nonprofit that defended the rights of field workers in Colombia. They say one day their taxi was ambushed by armed men on motorcycles. They were thrown to the ground, had weapons pointed at their heads. The men said they knew where their children went to school, their schedules.
Conocían toda mi historia, o sea, como si fuera un familiar que me conociera tanto. Entonces, a lo último, se subieron a las motos y me dijeron, yo de usted me voy del país. No la queremos volver, ni aquí ni en ninguna parte.
They traveled through Mexico and crossed the border from Piedras Negras to Eagle Pass, Texas on foot to seek asylum, a process that is ongoing. When they made it to New York, they applied for shelter and were placed in a midtown hotel. As her mom recounts the story, Maria Angel quietly cries. It's hard for all of them to talk about. One thing that's helped is school. She went to PS 11 last year, and this September started middle school at 75 Morton.
Ha servido como terapia porque ella se siente muy bien, ella siempre llega contenta.
Across the city, schools have rallied around children like Maria Angel, often with little notice and few resources to spare. New York One first visited PS 33 in Chelsea last October, shortly after 60 new students enrolled. About 80% of them are still there, and dozens more came after them.
From day one, any student who registers, there's just a lot of enthusiasm in being in school, and that hasn't changed.
Last year, PS 33 scrambled to establish transitional bilingual classes. This year, they're taking a different approach, putting students in mainstream classrooms with bilingual support, like this integrated co-teaching class of second graders, who are learning in two groups at different levels.
Some of the students who come in aren't strong in their native language. So a lot of the needs that they still have while they're still in second grade are actually more foundational skills.
Geraldine Harvey has been teaching for more than 30 years. Typically, she would have 2 or 3 English language learners a year. This year, it's 14, more than half her class. With the help of English as a new language teachers, paraprofessionals who speak Spanish, and a bit of Google Translate, there have been breakthroughs. A boy who had been apprehensive finally wrote letters for the first time.
He'll scribble. I have to hold his hand often, but he did this on his own today. So it was very emotional, I have to say. It was exciting.
Still, Harvey says schools like hers need more resources, like more bilingual paraprofessionals.
You really need the child to hear their language and understand. It's that entry point in.
Sometimes it's a kid who tries to fill that void for another, like Camilla Turk, who speaks a bit of Spanish.
I know, like, cámates, ¿qué pasas?
She works hard to understand the new students and to befriend them.
For so many families, for so many students, school is the one source of stability when everything else is unstable, unknown, ever-changing.
But Jennifer Pringle, project director at Advocates for Children, says that too may be upended. Mayor Adams has announced plans to limit some family shelter stays to 60 days. Families will either need to move out or be moved to another shelter. Under federal law, homeless children have the right to remain in the same school and be bused there.
No child is going to be displaced or their school is going to be interrupted.
But the city already struggles to staff the school bus routes it currently has. And if a family has moved a borough or two away, the school bus or subway ride back to their old school may be so difficult that families feel they have no choice but to change schools.
I think that is a right in name only. I think it's magical thinking.
Marie Angel's family hasn't received any notices about moving, but it's a fear that hangs over them, especially because her schools have been so welcoming.
Le dio ese afecto y ese cariño tan importante que la vinculó a la escuela como un miembro normalmente de la comunidad.
And she's making great progress at 75 Morton. Asked in English what her favorite subjects are, she replies,
Music and math.
More than a year after violence forced them to flee home, they say their new home, New York City, has been a blessing.
Que aquí, que en Estados Unidos, es un país garante de esa democracia, esa protección de los derechos humanos. Por eso estamos acá.
Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. Let Spectrum News be your resource for balanced, in-depth political coverage, and click the subscribe button right here. You can also download our app or watch us on TV to learn more about the candidates, where they stand on the issues, and more. We'll see you then.